What's going on YouTube? So when it comes to mid-sized trucks, there's one name that has stood ahead of all the competition for years, and that's the Toyota Tacoma. And while there is more new competition than ever, Toyota continuously makes updates to keep the Tacoma ahead. 2021 is no different, so let's go ahead and see what's new and if it's ahead of the refreshed Chevy Colorado. So the Tacoma is coming off of a refresh just last year. So with that being said, as you'd expect, you're not going to see any significant exterior updates, although there is something I will mention in just a second. So with your TRD models, looking at the grille, they're going to have this dark gray finish with a kind of mesh texture. And then your other trim levels, those will come with the more traditional looking bar grille. Now, what's new for 2021 is the fact that the limited trim level now offers a nightshade package. And if you choose that, that's going to get a grille texture that's similar to this, but finished in a, of course, black finish, as well as some other exterior pieces all around that vehicle. Now, turning over here to your headlights, you'll notice on this particular model, we do have the halogen headlights. However, you can, on the TRD models, get optional LED headlights with the dynamic turn signal indicator. Dropping down below that, we also have a halogen fog light. And you'll notice we continue to have a lot of ground clearance on all Tacoma models. It's going to be 9.4 inches. However, with this TRD off-road model, we do have an increased approach angle of 32 degrees. Now next up, we have our wheel options. They're going to range from 16 to 18-inch alloys. But with this TRD off-road, you have 16-inch contrast alloys wrapped in thick Goodyear Wrangler all-terrain tires. And then moving beyond that to our mirrors, they are of course body color and power adjusting. We do also have standard heating on the TRD models, and we have optional blind spot monitoring.
Alrighty, so you might be curious as to how many different configurations you can get this Tacoma in. As you can see right now, we have the double cab, and there's also two different bed sizes that you can pick, a 5 or a 6 foot bed, and you can also get the access cab if you prefer that. Now, walking around to the rear design itself, nothing's really changed for 2021, so you're going to have that signature Tacoma look. Although I do really think that this is one of the best looking midsize trucks out there. It has a very classy look to it. So breaking down the design itself, we do have Tacoma stamped into the tailgate, and then if we look at the taillights, these are going to be fully incandescent taillights, but they do have a clear lens. And then if we drop down, you're going to have an exposed exhaust outlet on the right side. Now walking up to the tailgate, Toyota is nice enough to include a dampened one, so it's not going to slam down on you. And as you can tell, looking at this bed, you're going to have quite a few features. So you do have some lighting back here. Off to the right side, you're going to notice a really nice feature of a household style outlet, and you do also have tie downs inside. Now, Toyotas are always really good about throwing in their safety systems, and this Tacoma is going to be no exception, since even on the very base model, you're going to have all of your safety suite standard equipment. So that's going to include forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, as well as lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, and auto high beam headlamps. But anyway, guys, that sums up the cool exterior design of this Tacoma TRD off-road. But now let's go ahead and check out the interior. But before we do that, if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, you're really missing out, so be sure to do that. It really helps us out as well.
So on the Tacoma, you will continue to find Toyota's smart entry system on the TRD trim levels and above, so long as you choose the automatic transmission. And then to get inside the truck itself, there is a sensor behind the handle, so just grab it. Alright, and taking a look inside of the cabin. This was just refreshed last year, so you're not going to notice any significant design changes on board. We're getting started with your different interior color and material options. You do have quite a few. Now, as far as specifically the TRD Sport and Off-Road trim levels, That's going to come standard with this cloth seat finished in black and cement colors. However, you can also get optional leather on these trim levels if you prefer. And then of course the limited trim level that comes standard with leather and your choice of black or hickory. Now turning over here to your door trim on the TRD models, you will find a rubber material that covers most of it. And as far as your windows, the front two are going to be one-touch auto up and down. Now taking a look here at the seats, updated last year in the refresh, you have a 10-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support on almost every single trim level. And then like I was already mentioning, we do have the cloth seating. I really like the look of this seat. You got the contrast here in the middle and also the color contrast stitching on the sides. Now to get inside the Tacoma is pretty easy because it's not super high off the ground, but we do have the optional Predator steps on board with this one. Now, like I already mentioned, there's not really any significant design changes on board, and the same goes for your interior materials. So everything in here remains very durable and rugged. Across your upper dash, this is going to be a hard touch plastic. As we move down to the middle area, all the trims except for the Limited come with this rubber material. The Limited will have a leatherette insert there. You have some chunky silver plastic through here. And like I was mentioning, all of these areas do feel extremely high quality and fit together very nicely. Now to start the models with the Smart Entry system, put your foot on the brake and press the button. So after I started up, you will be greeted with that classic Tacoma style gauges. It was updated last year to have the 4.2-inch multi-function display standard across every single trim level that you see here. And then coming back to the steering wheel, we do have electric power assisted steering, a nice leather wrap steering wheel on the TRD and Limited models, and I like that it has kind of a perforated leather on the bolsters here. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, and heating is unavailable on any Tacoma. Alright, so now let's go ahead and dig into interior storage. So of course I'll start out over here at our center console. And when we open that up, you will see plenty of space. This is a pretty deep cubby, and there is a felt lining down there at the bottom, as well as two lighted USB ports. So you have a USB Type-C and a USB Type-A. But the important thing is, how does it fit this giant stack of coupons? Fits them perfectly. We would barely even have to fold them in half. Now up in front of that, we've got a cup holder. We have a little storage area. We also have two more larger cup holders. And then in the very front here, we have a Qi wireless phone charging pad on the TRD and Limited models. And above that, you also have a few more connections. So you have a regular USB and a 12-volt outlet right there. Now while I'm looking at this row of buttons here, I might as well talk about this rear window. So as you can see, it is power opening. And this is going to be on every single Tacoma except for the very base SR trim level. Now pulling back here to the shifter, of course it is leather wrapped with the TRD model. You can bump over here to the left if you want to do some manual shifting right here, but there are no paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Then heading into reverse. This is your standard backup camera that's on the majority of models. However, if you get the Limited trim level, that will come with a 360-degree camera system, which is class exclusive. And that system is also available on these TRD models as an option. And you also have the handbrake style parking brake. Alright, so now let's move up here to our climate controls. Now this is actually an area that has changed for 2021. So what you're looking at is the dual zone automatic climate control setup. This is now standard on every Tacoma equipped with the V6. So previously it was standard on only the Limited. So this gives it much expanded availability. As you can see, very simple to use. You just use these two knobs to adjust your driver and passenger temperature, as well as your fan speeds and your zones right there. You would also have heated seats on the Limited trim level, or optional on the TRD Off-Road and TRD Sports. Okay, so now that brings us up here to our audio system. So almost all the models are going to come standard with a 6-speaker sound system. That's what we have, and we'll go ahead and give it a sample now. So overall sound quality is fine. Of course, however, if you're really into audio, you will want to upgrade to that JBL premium audio system that's standard on the Limited or optional on the TRD models. Alright, so now we're up here at our Toyota InTune display. This really hasn't changed for 2021, so what you'll see is an 8-inch high-definition display standard on SR5 and above. It does have the InTune 3.0 system, which was added last year, so this is Toyota's newest software with the latest performance abilities. But what you're probably most wanting to know about is the fact that you have standard Android Auto and standard Apple CarPlay. Now moving above that, we have a auto dimming mirror with a built-in compass, surprisingly standard on the SR5 and above, but if you want the HomeLink remotes, that will require the Limited trim level. And then up above that, we have a feature here that's exclusive to the TRD Off-Road, and that is the Multi-Terrain Select controller. This, of course, is the most rugged trim level besides for the full TRD Pro models. So you do get the ability to make your adjustments with crawl mode and mountains and stuff like that. And then up at the very top, we do not have a moonroof on this specific example. However, one is available on the TRD models and standard on the Limited.
Alright, so in the crew cab Tacoma, here in the rear seat, you're going to have a pretty good amount of space and some features. So as far as the space figures themselves, you're going to come in at 32.6 inches of rear legroom, 38 inches of rear headroom. That does place it a little bit behind the Ford Ranger as well as the Chevy Colorado, and you can kind of feel that behind your seating position. As you can see, I probably have, I would say, only about 2 to 3 inches of rear legroom behind his seating position, which isn't a ton. That said, though, my feet can slide up under the seat, so it's not too bad overall. Now, as far as the features you're going to get, here in the center, we do have cup holders. And then this center armrest, you can't really, oh, that folds the whole seat down. Okay. We're not going to have a center armrest, and of course, stuff like heated rear seats are not going to be offered. Alright, so in order to increase the usability of this rear seat, they have added the option to be able to fold the seat backs down. So if we do that, you can see we have some storage back here, definitely very hidden out of view, so if you have anything that you need to hide, no one's ever going to find it back there. But now let's go ahead and check out the passenger seat. Now your passenger seat is, of course, manually adjusting. And then if we open up the glove box, yes, this is absolutely a fantastic glove box. This gets like a A+++ from me. I mean, this honestly is like the size of a trunk, and our coupons just fit in there like nobody's business. So certainly you can save money on food. Now up top, we do have a sun visor. We also have lighting as well as a mirror, and you can also detach it and extend it.
And just like that, we are up to 60 miles per hour in this 2021 Tacoma. So I'm bored with almost every single version of the Tacoma, TRD, trim levels and above. It's going to be the 3.5 liter V6 engine. So that makes 278 horsepower, 265 pound-feet of torque. And as you can see, it pulls pretty strong when you first take off, and power actually builds as the revs increase as well.
Yeah. Now, if you don't go for a TRD trim or higher, you're going to be stuck with the 4-cylinder. That's going to be the 2.7 liter, and that's going to have 159 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque. So quite a bit of a power boost going for the V6, so that's definitely something to consider if you're looking between the trim levels of the Tacoma.
as far as your transmission is concerned, you do have a 6-speed automatic on board. Shifting is very smooth. I don't really have any real complaints about this. It does shift around a little bit when you go up and down hills and stuff like that, but that's really just keeping you in your power band the best way possible. You can also get a manual transmission as well, so that's certainly something you don't see very often. So if you want to save a little bit of money, you can try manual.
Yeah. And while we're up to speed here, I will get a sound level reading. And we're going to be sitting at 60.8 decibels. So that's a decent reading. That's certainly not like the quietest thing we've ever tested, but this is a mid-sized truck after all, and they're not really all that focused on like the luxury experience. It's more about the practicality and the usability with it. So this is about average for the segment. Now that's not to say that this TRD doesn't ride well though, because certainly with this TRD model with the off-road shocks, really soaks up the bumps well. We just went over a few of them and you can barely feel anything entering into this cabinet.
I will apologize for only having the one camera angle today. We had not one but two batteries that were having some trouble, so but let's go ahead and talk about today's Slam Dunk and Airball. So the Slam Dunk for this Tacoma, I think, since it came out and still today, is the exterior styling. This is a good looking truck. Every time I see them, I especially like them, especially if they have those LED headlights as well. Really sharp looking. It's the right mixture between sophistication and aggression.
Yeah. Now, as far as our Airball is concerned, we're going to say that that's going to be the equipment that you get for the money. As we'll talk about in a little bit with the pricing information, this is not exactly the cheapest truck that you can get. And some of the equipment, especially on this model, we still don't have LED headlights, we don't have heated seats or a moonroof or anything like that, so you are missing out on some equipment for the money. Now, as far as the fuel economy is concerned, you're probably curious about that. The most common configuration probably is going to be this one right here, the V6 with 4-wheel drive. That's going to come in at 1822.20. Now, of course, there are several different fuel economies depending on what engine you have, as well as the transmission. And finally, let's go ahead and discuss that pricing for this Tacoma. So, depending on what trim level you go for, it's going to range from a very cheap price point to a more expensive one. So the SR is going to be $26,150, SR5 $27,940, TRD $33,660, TRD off-road $34,315, and then the Limited is going to be $38,905. Now this one with accessories as well as the destination charge of $1175 comes in at $40,451.
So like I said at the beginning, Tacoma has really dominated the sales figures of midsize trucks for a really, really, really long time. And when you're behind the wheel of one of these, you can really see why. It's just a strong truck. There's so many positive characteristics and a lot of things that continue to stand out from the competition.
Well guys, that's going to wrap up this in-depth review of the 2021 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. We really appreciate you watching this video, and if you hadn't hit that subscribe button already, please go ahead and do that. It's completely free and you won't want to miss out on a lot of our cool content that's coming up very soon. So be sure to do that and tap that notification bell while you're at it. Well, anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.
2021 is no different, so let's go ahead and see what's new and if it's ahead of the Chevy Brick.